offering 36 months, same as cash financing with approved credit. Any questions? Free in-home estimate, 314-993-1800, 314-993-1800, windowworld.com, windowworld.com.
Feel the sizzling heat of summer savings at Seidenstricker Nobe Partners. Rev up your summer with 0% financing for 84 months with zero down on a John Deere compact tractor. You can purchase a 1 Series tractor for less than $10 a day. It's time to elevate your equipment game with a hard-working, versatile tractor. Don't let this sizzling hot deal on compact tractors slip away. Seidenstricker Nobe, your partner for the land.
Offer valid through 7/31/2024. Some restrictions apply. See dealer for details.
Looking to get a new carpet, hardwood, or tile installed quickly and efficiently in your home? Look no further than Michael's Flooring Outlet. Michael's Flooring Outlet is a family-owned and operated business with a 30-year history of offering a diverse array of high-quality options in flooring. My parents and in-laws used Michael's to rip up their old carpet and replace it. They are both happy with the product and installation from Michael's. You can shop at one of their 3 locations in Creve Coeur, Darting Prairie, or St. Peters, or you can check them out at igotfloored.com. That's igotfloored.com.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Gene Evans, former state representative, former executive director of the Missouri Republican Party.
The National Party and the state party have had school choice in their platform, parent empowerment. Donald Trump's agenda, and he's mentioned it several times lately, he talked about it a lot when he was president, is school choice. A state that 100% backs Trump is not going to take a major piece of agenda out of their platform. They're just not.
Weekday mornings, 5:30 to 9. KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Belfast, KNVS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
Breaking news this hour from townhall.com. I'm John Scott. The Memorial Day weekend is straight ahead. AAA spokeswoman Ixa Diaz says travel records could be set this coming holiday weekend.
We're projecting nearly 44 million travelers over the Memorial Day weekend, which comes close to matching 2005. But in the car travel category, we're projecting 38.4 million people, and that would be a new record for drivers over the long holiday weekend.
Diaz says the average price for a gallon of gas is $3.59. Also at townhall.com, the defense has rested its case in Donald Trump's criminal trial. The conclusion of witness testimony brings the trial one step closer to closing arguments, which will take place next week. Jurors have been sent home and will not be returning until next Tuesday. A very familiar name is on the ballot in Georgia, where it's primary day. Correspondent Laura Winters reports.
Here in Fulton County, voters heading to the polls where DA Fani Willis on the ballot. Her legal case against Donald Trump is at a standstill. She's managed to stay on the case while the lead prosecutor she had a romantic relationship with was forced to resign. An appeals court will revisit the question of whether Willis should be removed from the matter. She is facing a primary challenger today, a lawyer who has run before but has failed to gain traction. Laura Winters, Atlanta, Georgia.
The Biden administration releasing 1 million barrels of gasoline from the Northeast Reserve, established after Superstorm Sandy in a bid to lower prices at the pump this summer. The sale from storage sites in New Jersey and Maine, it will be allocated in increments of 100,000 barrels at a time. The Dow had 26 points now, the NASDAQ adding 13. More at townhall.com.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
This story is called The Ugly Truth About Timeshare. If you think you've done your family a favor by buying a timeshare, you need my help. Hello, I'm Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group. 10 years ago, I started helping folks cancel their timeshare. In the process, started Wesley Financial Group to do one thing, help people get out of their timeshare nightmare. When you buy a timeshare, the timeshare company can raise your annual maintenance fees at will. I recently helped a couple that had their maintenance fees go from $800 to $3,200 a year. They also received a $4,000 assessment for a hurricane that was over 1,000 miles away. Sound crazy? Stop the insanity today. Call my office now. If we take you as a client, I guarantee we'll cancel your timeshare or you'll pay nothing.
Want out of your timeshare? Call now for your free timeshare exit info kit. 800-656-1155. 800-656-1155.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Rodney and Jen Wallner and the entire Wallner home selling team at Berkshire Hathaway. Call them today at 314-810-SOLD. 314-810-SOLD. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Near record heat today under partly cloudy skies. A real windy day. South winds gusting to 30, 35 miles per hour at times. The high temperature forecast of 93 would tie the record high set back in 1941. Of more concern, though, is the chance of severe thunderstorms this evening and into the late night hours. Again, that's across the viewing area, the possibility of large hail, very strong winds, and even tornadoes. That's this evening into tonight. I'm KMOV First Alert meteorologist Kent Earhart.
Always be clear where you get your conservative talk.
The St. Louis Business Journal is now reporting that liberal billionaire George Soros is the largest shareholder of Odyssey,
the parent company of KMOX and 97.1 Talk. Soros' maneuver raises critical questions about the future of media ownership and influence.
Money and attention is power. And when he has the money and he controls what's on the radio stations, he's going to be able to control the minds, essentially hundreds of millions of Americans.
St. Louis's trusted source and number one
for conservative talk.
This is News Talk STL. So many ways to listen to News Talk STL. Enable our Alexa skill.
Hello.
Hey, Alexa.
Yes, I'm listening.
Play News Talk STL.
Welcome to News Talk STL, conservative talk radio for St. Louis.
This hour of Colombo and Katie brought to you by Gutter Pros. Water goes where we tell it. Call 314-656-7195 or visit them at gutterpros.com. Tony Colombo.
Libertarianism is all about individual liberty.
Katie Fitzpatrick.
Oh, good for you.
Colombo and Katie on News Talk STL.
Time to rise has been engaged. We're better, best to rearrange. I'm talking here to me alone. I listen to the finest work song, the finest of hours, the finest of hours.
Hello and welcome to Tuesday afternoon here on Colombo and Katie on 101.9, 94.1 News Talk STL. Thank you for being here on what is I think it's hot out there. I haven't been out there since this morning, but it's supposed to be in the 90s today.
It was beautiful when I walked in today.
Yeah.
Nice little breeze.
A lot of heat out there for the cicadas.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my gosh.
Got cicadas?
The cicadas are out. I mean, they are here. They have fully arrived.
They have arrived.
They have fully arrived. And I am telling you, I have never in my life, even now my backyard, which last week it was like.
Mm-hmm. How's that go?
But now my backyard.
Now how's it go?
It's a party. It's like not like that, but you know what I mean? Like,
how's it go?
I don't know how to do it. Like what? I don't know.
If it was
like a hum, like a little hum in the distance, like a loud. I don't know, like I don't know what it is.
James does a pretty good.
What's his impression?
Locust. I can't do his, but he does a good one. He does he makes a sound with his mouth that is like a pretty good locust.
I mean, it's loud. It's a party. It's a full blown party.
It's so weird. I'm sure. Obviously, there's a reason for this, like a nature reason for this. Maybe it's the type of trees. Maybe they are. These cicadas only live around certain types of trees because we have one big tree in the backyard and we have two trees in the front yard, and the backyard is covered in cicadas.
Oh yeah.
There is not a single one in the front yard. Not a single one.
I do think it is tree preference.
So it is so weird.
I do think that they have.
If I'm out in the backyard, they're everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm in the front yard, they don't exist.
I'm wondering too if it if they don't populate.
You still have all the shells or not?
Oh yeah, shell. I mean, ours.
They're in there. You know that.
In the shells.
Yeah.
Well, I only have one tree in the backyard, so it's not like crazy.
Right, but all of those, they're all in their way. They're about to.
I also
Hatch.
wonder if they go to heavily trafficked areas.
I thought you were going to say, I wonder if they go to heaven.
I wonder
You
if the
said,
cicadas.
I wonder if they go to heaven. And I was like,
I
all
wonder if
dogs go to
cicadas
heaven. I
go
don't-
to heaven. But I, honest to God, like I think they have a method, the cicada method.
They do. It's a 14-year process.
All cicadas go to heaven.
All right. Well, there's your cicada update for the day. We are also today going to talk about some other things, believe it or not. I want to get into the Biden administration is sending condolences to Iran, which is unbelievable. So we're going to talk about that in just a second. We're also going to talk about that and the big picture happening in the Middle East. And just over an hour, just under an hour from now, just after 3:00, we're going to talk to Rear Admiral Chuck Williams, and we're going to get the latest. We had a great conversation yesterday about the Middle East as well. The latest on the ICC's charges against Benjamin Netanyahu. And now, of course, this latest embarrassment of Joe Biden issuing condolences on the death of the butcher of Tehran. I mean, are you freaking kidding me? So definitely keep it here for that. Also, it being a Tuesday afternoon means we're going to talk to our good friend Crane Durham from nothingbutTruth.com. He'll be here in just about 10 minutes from now. And got some local news, national news, all of it to talk to Crane about. I want to get his latest. We've been playing a little game with Crane over the last several months about who's going to ultimately be on the ballot in November. Whether is it going to be Trump and Biden? Is Biden going to get replaced? There are a couple of new theories out today about what's going to happen with the Democratic side. A couple new theories about who and how the Democratic Party could go about replacing Joe Biden in November. So I'll run those new theories by you, these new rumors.
Sure.
And we'll get everybody's thoughts on whether we think there's any legitimacy to them and whether or not we think that Joe Biden is going to make it to November. Where are you at on that? I have all the way through. I have always said that in the end, I believe that Joe Biden will still be on the ballot and running for president in November. I've been convinced at least a little bit. I've taken it more seriously a couple of times throughout this process that maybe he won't be, but I still believe ultimately it will be him. And I still believe that right now, even with these new reports coming out. Where are you on that at this point?
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that I also was someone that was pretty headstrong on the idea of that he was going to be the person debating Trump and he was going to be the nominee. But I do have to say that when Ken rolled out the idea, because he really was the first person that I heard rolling out that idea.
I agree.
And when Ken said that, I was like,
Ken Williams from the Vic Porcelli show.
I thought, no way. No freaking way is that going to happen. But as we inch closer and as we see people, specifically Democratic leaders or people running to be congressmen and women, they're detaching themselves from Joe Biden. They're moving away from him, as we just said yesterday. Meanwhile, all these people are trying to say that they're Trump's best friend on the other side of the aisle. But we have all of these people running for leadership, running for high positions that are like, don't really need to associate with Joe Biden. So to me, the most plausible thing that could happen are so many people saying they do not want to be affiliated with Joe Biden that maybe something clicks in their head to say we can't campaign with him. We cannot have him as leadership.
That was a real key interesting takeaway from our conversation yesterday with, as you just mentioned, with America's favorite liberal, Keith Antone, who is, it's in the title of it's in his title, America's favorite liberal, very obviously Democrat. And he said that locally, he's very involved in St. Louis city politics for the left. He said locally, but also from what he has seen nationally, candidates all across the country, down ballot candidates, senators, congresspeople, whatever it may be, are distancing themselves from Joe Biden. He's considered an anchor on their campaign. And that is the exact opposite of history. It's usually if you have the incumbent president at the top of your ballot and you're running for, offices down ballot in states across the country, that is a huge advantage because you get that support from the people that are showing up to vote for the president. You get that down ballot support in your party, and that is not happening this year. It's very that is non-traditional for it to be that situation.
And a
terrible statement on this.
I
president.
think that you and I have always said it doesn't really matter about Joe Biden's condition. I mean, they could put him up there on, I hate to even phrase it like this, but like this close to his deathbed, and they might still put Joe Biden up there to debate and be a nominee.
Yeah.
But where it starts, like the rubber meeting the road with the Democrats, I think, is when it starts to affect all of the other levers of power. Whenever other people are saying, we can't win if we attach ourselves to Joe Biden, whether they be state, local, or even federal.
Yeah.
So it's like when now it's a ripple effect downward of people being like, we can't win the seat because now we have to say if we support Biden or not. But it's funny because that also was something that Trump went through. Maybe not, I think not in 2016, obviously, when he won. But this last go round, I feel like I remember there was a lot of wishy-washy Republicans that didn't really want to attach themselves to Trump, even though he was also the president at the time and obviously the nominee. I feel like they also didn't want to attach themselves to Trump because of how polarizing he was.
A few, some dove in.
Oh yeah, went all the way.
Yeah, and a few didn't, and a few were really two-faced about it, like Mitt Romney,
right?
Who was critical of Donald Trump, and then when he was running for Senate, he was bringing Donald Trump out on the campaign trail, on stage with him, and then as soon as he got elected, he went back to being the anti-Trump Republican. Just so
it
gross.
Didn't work out for the people,
and it didn't work out for Mitt Romney and his reputation either. Just because, I mean, it doesn't you take Trump out of the equation of that and put anybody else in that spot. When you're a two-faced flip-flopper like Mitt Romney, it's just it's a bad look. I guess it got him elected though, or at least helped. But can you imagine being in the Biden campaign and you're going to some state for a rally, and let's say Katie, you're a Democrat running for Congress in here in Missouri, and the White House calls and says, "Hey, we see you are running for you're in this tight race for Congress. The president is actually going to be in town in a couple weeks. Do you want to come to his rally? Do you want to have him stop by one of your campaign events to help out the campaign?" And that candidate going, "No, no, thank you, no, please, God, no,
no."
Dude, I do not. I mean, that's something that normally candidates would jump at, that opportunity to have the president with them, and these Democrats are saying, "No, thank you, please stay away."
There was a story that we didn't get to cover yesterday, but you brought it up, Tony, about the stark difference of the people that didn't show up to Biden's.
I know.
And that also is something that reminds me, they also understand that he doesn't bring people to the rally.
I know. You're right. I even teased that story yesterday, and we ran out of time before I could get to it. It is hilarious. Biden was getting just destroyed on social media yesterday because over the weekend he did a campaign rally in Atlanta, and his motorcade is going through the city of Atlanta. And normally, especially, as he's getting closer to the rally location, there would be people This happens for Trump. It happened for Obama. It happens. There's people out supporting him, and the streets are lined, and people have signs, and they're cheering, and all of this. It is a ghost town.
Not one sign in sight.
There's like one photo of Biden waving to the one like homeless person on the sidewalk.
That wasn't really even there.
It wasn't even, like the one
I
human
live here.
that he saw.
This is my sidewalk. I live here.
It was incredible. Just talk about nobody cares. Nobody wants to see this man.
And that's what the other people, they're like, okay, so if he comes to rally for me, he doesn't bring anyone. There's no one coming out being like, heard of Joe Biden rallies happen in St. Louis. Got to get there bright and early to get a spot.
The pictures are hilarious.
Oof.
Hilarious. And, why is the president so unpopular? It's because of things like this. Many describing this as a new low for Joe Biden and his administration. The State Department released a statement upon the news of the Iranian president's death, saying, quote, the United States expresses its official condolences for the death of Iranian President Ibrahim Raisi and other members of their delegation in a helicopter crash in northwest Iran. As Iran selects a new president, we reaffirm our support for the Iranian people and their struggle for human rights and fundamental freedoms. People are rightfully so eviscerating the president for putting this out on the world stage, basically bowing his head to the man and the country that is the figurehead of Death to America. Like if there's a leader of the Death to America movement on the world stage, it's Iran. And the president is sending out condolences. It is not hyperbole to say that is like the United States sending condolences on the death of Osama bin Laden or even Hitler. And I am the first one that always says I'm so sick of people calling everything Nazis and everybody's Hitler. Like it's so overdone. This is actually an appropriate example. Yes. This is actually an appropriate example of an apples to apples comparison.
But why did he do it? Why?
He's trying to appease to the woke left, pro-terrorist, anti-Israel crowd.
What's crazy about this is that I can't figure out, this is mixed messaging to me. You're pro-women, pro-feminism, pro-freedom, and yet you send condolences to a president that beheaded women for not wearing hijabs.
Yeah.
They killed women for wanting to get educations.
Yeah.
I mean, killed political
it's against the law
rivals.
to be gay.
Yeah, against the law to be gay. Publicly hung in the streets if you're stoned.
Mm-hmm. And again, death to America.
Death to America.
That's the dictionary definition. The dictionary definition of condolence in the Merriam-Webster dictionary is sympathy with another in sorrow. So the United States and the president is sorrowful, is in sorrow that the Iranian president has passed away. I mean, that is just
not me.
It really is a new low. And for this president to be able to lower the bar even more is impressive.
Mm-hmm.
I thought we were all the way on the floor.
We got so much more to go.
He found a way to make it even worse. Again, we're going to talk a little bit more about the president's statement and the bigger picture of everything happening in the Middle East after the death of the Iranian president, and with these the story coming out of the International Criminal Court charging Benjamin Netanyahu with war crimes. And we will do that all with Rear Admiral Chuck Williams just after 3 o'clock. But before then, we are going to check in with our good friend Crane Durham from nothingbutTruth.com. Again, got a couple new theories out there discussing what the Democrat Party may be doing to remove Joe Biden from the ballot in November. We'll roll those new reports out to you, and we will discuss whether we think they are legitimate or not. That and much more next with Crane Durham on Colombo and Katie.
You're listening to Colombo and Katie.
Nobody can do it like me. Nobody.
Like us on Facebook at News Talk STL. St. Louis's new choice for conservative talk. Live and local.
I need to know what's going on in my city.
News Talk STL.
We're just talking about how hot it is out there. Summer temperatures are here in the St. Louis area, and that means a lot of outdoor summer activities. And if you're like us and you like to be outside, you like to use your yard, your kids are out there playing, you're barbecuing, you're entertaining, the worst thing that can happen is a pest problem that just ruins the fun outside. That is why we trust All Solutions Pest Control at our home. We keep the All Solutions Pest Control service all year round because every season brings another unique pest issue to your home. But right now, this is probably the worst time with ants and wasps and mosquitoes and others that can be a problem and, cause damage and create even a health issue for you and your family, but also just a nuisance, when you're trying to be outside and enjoy the summer weather. So right now, All Solutions Pest Control has a $67 introductory special. What a perfect time of year to take advantage of this introductory special and see if you like the All Solutions Pest Control service as much as we do. If you have a pest problem, you need to call All Solutions Pest Control immediately for them to come out and take care of it. But if you're like us and you just want to prevent that from happening, you don't want a pest issue to develop, again, All Solutions Pest Control is the team to call. Personally, I recommend the mosquito treatment because I don't know what it is about St. Charles County. I lived my whole life in North County, and North County mosquitoes are nothing compared to St. Charles County mosquitoes. So I don't know what we would do without the mosquito treatment from All Solutions Pest Control. So definitely it gets my personal recommendation along with all the other services. And again, take advantage of their $67 introductory special and see if All Solutions is right for your home like it is for ours. Check them out, contact them, learn more all through the website, allsolutionspestcontrol.com.
News Talk STL is proud to have Doug Voss as part of our lineup every week. Doug has been a staple on St. Louis radio for many years as one of the leading financial experts in the area. You can hear Doug and Safe Money Radio 3 times every weekend on News Talk STL. And in case you miss anything, you can check it all out at DougVossSafeMoneyRadio.com. What else do our listeners need to know, Doug?
Simply put, I focus on helping pre-retirees and retirees build, preserve, and protect retirement assets, and I've been helping my clients solve their insurance and financial needs for the past 33 years. I also strive to educate my clients on how to prepare for retirement, minimize the impact of market volatility on their assets, and deal with the challenges of increased longevity. Call me today at 844-676-SAFE. That's 844-676-7233.
Doug Voss is a registered representative. Securities offered through DHL Securities, LLLP, member FINRA and SIPC.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
Hey, it's Tuesday, 420. We'll speak with David Stokes of the Show Me Institute on the St. Louis plan to stop evictions. And at 520, Dr. Randy Tobin.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps. Weekdays at 4 on News Talk STL.
London town to go. Oh, with the record selection and the mirror's reflection, I'm a dancing with myself.
Welcome back to Colombo Katie on 101.9 News Talk STL. Diving back into some of the headlines of the day now with our friend who joins us every Tuesday afternoon at this time, Crane Durham from nothingbutTruth.com. Crane, as summer arrives, the sun is out longer, the days are longer, the children are playing, summer vacation is right around the corner, and as we take it all in, brothers don't shake hands, brothers got a hug.
Brother's got a hug, and it's a quick one because we don't want to heat up, and we're already heated. So a quick in, quick out, and then, hey, did you know that Hamas can get bigger crowds in America than the President of the United States?
Oh, that's such a good point. You're so right. I never thought about that. You're exactly right. If there is a rally for terrorism, you'll get a bigger, you'll draw a bigger crowd than you will.
That's insane.
For a rally for the president of the United States. That is true. That is a true statement. That is incredible. So it's been a while since we have done this, but we've been tracking through the year what Crane thinks about who is going to be on the ballot in November. Because if you remember, especially at the beginning of the year, there was some discussion that Donald Trump may not even be the Republican nominee. So, for example, when we started this conversation in late December of last year, Crane, your very first thought process was 60% chance that Donald Trump would be on the ballot in November and a 20% chance that Joe Biden would be on the ballot in November. That was in December.
Yeah.
And then your most recent pick was 96% that Trump will be on the ballot and 7% chance that Joe Biden will be on the ballot in November. I want to roll out these. There's a couple of new theories out there, a couple of new reports about rumors coming out of the Democratic Party about strategies to remove Biden from the ballot in November and who and how to replace him. Before I roll that out and we see if we think that these theories have any legitimacy to them, where are you at today on May 21st with Donald Trump and Joe Biden being the prospective nominees for their parties?
98 for President Trump or former President Trump or future, hopefully, President Trump.
Mm-hmm.
And 5%.
No, it's going down.
Joe Biden.
Wow.
It's going down. It's going down, down. So here are the latest theories being discussed as far as removing Biden from the Democrat ballot. Number one, Kamala takes over. This is a new piece today from Fox News. It reads in part, Joe Biden is running out of excuses while many Democrats have urged him to end his reelection bid, including friendly columnists like the New York Times, Ezra Klein, and others from the Washington Post. It has been the conventional wisdom that Biden could not do so, fearful that an even less popular Kamala Harris would replace him as the 2024 Democratic candidate for president. However, according to this report, in the Democratic Party, that is changing. Vice President Harris has been out on the stump, performing the kind of all-out energetic campaigning that the president cannot do. She meets almost daily with women's groups talking about abortion and Black groups talking about racial justice. She travels incessantly to swing states to hand out money and programs, crediting the Biden-Harris White House, emphasis on the Harris, and passing the enormous spending bills at the heart of the administration's campaign. So we'll go one at a time here. Okay. I do not feel the momentum that this article alleges that Kamala Harris is building, that she is changing the minds of, because that's been one of the big reasons that I've always stuck to, and I still believe today that in the end, it's still going to be Joe Biden on the ballot, because I just don't, there's nobody else that is popular. Unbelievably, he is still probably got the most name recognition and, in my opinion, the best chance at winning a national election. And that is not an endorsement of Joe Biden. That is a condemnation of how bad the Democratic Party is. And Kamala Harris usually in that, in that discussion, that she's even worse. According to this, minds are changing, at least in the Democratic Party and with Democratic voters. Do you feel that at all happening?
I can see how that can happen, because he is, well, one is we're just getting confirmation bias in the sense of the idea of him stumbling, and we're noticing every little thing he does where he goes, says a name, and then he says something like full name. He reads the speech and he's reading the parenthesis.
Yes. And the commas.
Yeah. And so he's doing that more and more. I could see how it is. I just don't think it has much juice, because she is just terrible. And they've already tried to make this the abortion election, and we're going to the states. States are deciding that however one feels. I'm obviously pro-life, so you advocate for what you want and you make the case. That's how it was supposed to be done. That's what Roe v. Wade flying back to the states meant, and that's the right path to build consensus. And then you build enough consensus, wow, you get a constitutional amendment. But you got to make the case and continue to make the case. And it's just not tracking right now with Kamala Harris and the issues.
Yeah, just because she is meeting with groups and just because she is traveling and campaigning doesn't automatically mean that it's working. And I looked, Katie, I tried to see if there was any polling out there that backed up this theory that minds are changing about Kamala Harris and she's getting more popular, and they don't exist. There was one poll, recent one. I can't remember what organization did it. There was one recent poll where she was 1% more popular than Biden. She was at like 38 and he was at 37. But other than that, she's always even lower than him, and he's record low numbers. Have you noticed or taken in any of this alleged momentum for Kamala Harris?
So we mentioned 2 weeks ago, and Crane, I think it was actually with you, that Biden is being pushed out more, probably by his staff, by the campaign, saying you need to get out there, you need to start going to late night televisions, you need to sit down and do the interviews. All of them have been a mess. But simultaneously, they're also pushing Kamala Harris, and where she is going is the B-rated daytime talk shows. And I've seen a couple of them. Drew Barrymore, one of
is that where she?
Kamala, yeah,
they have
Mamala.
used in this. If I read this, like this whole story about making this case for this idea of her taking over. One of the examples of her getting out there and riling people up was the interview where she dropped the F-bomb.
Yes.
That you talked about.
Yes. So that was not one of the daytime talk shows. That was her on a forum.
Gotcha.
But Crane, I've been watching and kind of looking at where she's been going, and they are the B-rated. It's not The View, but she's going to Drew Barrymore.
Right.
And so,
and Drew Barrymore, it says it all right there. Please get this woman a cheeseburger so that she can have some protein. She's off her rocker.
She is.
And I pray for her every day. Drew Barrymore.
But I think that when we look at this evaluation, they are also seeing that Kamala Harris is not likable. She hasn't been. She is like Hillary Clinton in that sense. She isn't relatable, but now, Crane, they're pushing her out onto these platforms to try to make a connection that just isn't happening.
Mm-hmm. So I think we're all in agreement that this theory, I'm not buying it.
I was wrong.
I'm not buying it. Is that a fair assessment?
It's unanimous.
All right.
I think so. Yes.
Number 2 is Gavin Newsom becoming president, which that's not new. But now you have the Kamala Harris problem. And there's another new rumor, another new story out there that there's some people in the Democratic Party trying to put together basically a switch that Gavin Newsom takes over as president and Kamala Harris becomes the governor of California. The vice president has reportedly, and this was before this new theory came out, has reportedly several times throughout this term talked about wanting to, at some point of her career, go back to California and go back to serving the people of California. So this could be their out, because they can't just kick her off the ticket because of all the identity issues with that. So this would be their sort of scapegoat and their win-win, that as Gavin Newsom takes over as the head of the party and is leading the charge to try to become president, he will also be campaigning to the voters of California that Kamala Harris should be the one to take over that state. How do you feel, Crane, about that, the legitimacy of that type of a strategy being implemented by the Democrats?
It's hard for me to take that in because they are going to run on the same things and they're absolute failures, nothing but pain. And so there's a side of me that goes, you can put lipstick on a pig, but it's still a pig. And everybody's going to notice that and stop, watering on my leg and tell me it's raining. I mean, I don't mean to be crude here, but it is awful stuff. Their policies suck and they're hurting people. And you have an exodus from California. You have an exodus from blue states. And so I don't know if that does anything to help California. It may, getting Newsom out of there. And but she has shown herself to be totally incompetent.
Yeah.
So poor California.
Right.
And if he gets to the top of it, I think Newsom will do much better on stage as he did in the debate against DeSantis. But that was only surface. It was cosmetic in the sense of it's not substantive. There's nothing there.
Right.
Because he couldn't defend his record and he came across as a slick liar. So I'm saying that that's a possibility. They could push that, but it's not a net gain.
Every report and every poll, literally, that I've ever seen during this presidency that talks about Kamala Harris has said that she's less popular in California than she is even nationally. Like, the people of California don't necessarily have a glowing memory of her time as the attorney general of that state. So I don't know that this would, I don't know that would even work if it was the plan. Every story is that she's less popular in California, just like Pete Buttigieg. He's talked about, he's always in the discussion for possibly being a presidential candidate. He couldn't win another mayoral election in South Bend because he's less popular where he has served. Beto O'Rourke, another example of that.
Now these darn train derailments.
All these big name Democrats are where they're least popular are with the people that are most familiar with them.
Did you ever see how people could be that much out of touch? And we see that with their policies, and we've been talking about that. You all have been all over that from day one. But I was watching Joy Behar, and this is just not me going after somebody from The View. I'm making a point here. She was walking in someplace, and she honestly thought all the people around her loved her. And as she's walking in, people are turning away, not saying a word. And she got the idea, hey, I'm Joy Behar. Everybody loves me. And I'm sitting there going, if you're that out of touch, then perhaps you could be delusional enough to say, hey, this, I could probably win here.
Yeah. You know why? Because they surround themselves with people, with yes men and
Yeah.
friendly atmospheres. They block out, they don't allow any
Discourse.
opposing opinions or discourse to penetrate their inner circle, and then they start to believe it. So Joy Behar she's on TV every day, but she's actually only in front of that small studio audience of very passionate, progressive, liberal, people.
Yeah.
And
she's
she can think, that can make one think that everybody is like that because all the people in your life are like that. And then the reality hits you that, oh, I'm really not that popular. And I'm not, and not everybody agrees with all of the things that I say. And not everybody thinks that I'm the smartest person in the world. And not everybody applauds after everything I say. And it's a wake-up call they all need, in my opinion.
Yeah. Steve Wynn, real quick.
Yeah.
Steve Wynn was talking about George Clooney. They had a little dust up a long time ago. And I think it was on Cavuto years ago. And he said, he owns the casinos in Las Vegas. And he said, in essence, these are very precious people. They're not really in touch. What you just said, Tony, they're not in touch with reality.
Mm-hmm.
So when they make arguments, oftentimes they're preaching to the choir. And then they get one disagreement and it just throws them. It's just like, they get angry.
Mm-hmm. That is our buddy Crane Durham from nothingbutTruth.com. He is going to stick around and we're going to shift gears a little bit. Couple stories regarding Jen Psaki and MSNBC.
Oh.
She is skeptical that the presidential debates will actually happen, even though they've been agreed to and all of that. I find that interesting. And guess who was on with Jen Psaki last night?
Crockett.
Jimmy Carville.
Oh, God.
The Raging Cajun is back in the news, so I got to talk about
Here
it.
he comes.
Also, we are going to get a little local and talk about, this is super interesting to me. The state of Illinois is one step closer. It seems to be on the fast track of allowing your driver's license to be digital.
Oh.
So you don't have to carry an actual driver's license, that it can just be on your phone. Yeah. And it passed in the Illinois House of Representatives unanimously and quickly yesterday, and seems to be on the fast track of being a reality for the state of Illinois. I find that very interesting, and I have some thoughts about it. So we're going to get into all of those stories and more as we continue with Crane Durham here on Colombo and Katie.
You're listening to Colombo and Katie.
Girl, you ain't Gandhi.
Follow Tony Colombo on Twitter at Tony Colombo Talk. St. Louis's new choice for conservative talk.
Hey, good morning, everybody.
Live and local.
Welcome home. And whoosh, sitting in traffic, stuck in a jam, and being entertained by Vic and Thunder Stealing Ken.
This is News Talk STL.
Speaking of the state of Illinois, if you live in Illinois and you are looking for a new home, if you live in Missouri and you're looking for a new home, there is one team all across the St. Louis area, whether it be in Missouri or Illinois, that can help you, and that is the Wallner Home Selling Team with Berkshire Hathaway. Rodney and Jen Wallner are the best. We talk about the stats that prove that, the fact that they're selling 15 times more homes per year than your typical home seller, or that they have so many qualified buyers right now that they guarantee to get you an offer. But I can tell you from firsthand experience that it's so much more than those numbers. Rodney and Jen are just great people. They're a married couple. They bring that family perspective to the conversation, which was so important to Christine and I when we sold our old house and bought our new house with the Wallners a couple of years ago. And they were just fantastic every step of the way. And having that family perspective to that conversation, especially since we were looking for a new house on the other side of things, was so important to us. Also, their work ethic, their experience and their work ethic are absolutely second to none. And to me, that is what really sets the Wallners apart from the rest. So Again, there's been some changes in the housing market since we went through the process a couple years ago. But one thing that hasn't changed is it is still very much a seller's market. So still a great time to sell your home. So if this is something you've been thinking about, don't let that opportunity pass you by. Call the Walners now. Call them at 314-810-SOLD. 314-810-SOLD. 314-810-SOLD for the Walner Home Selling Team.
Man, what a great party you're throwing here. This wasp nest is great.
Yeah, man, we got about 70 wasps in here.
Too bad we can't fit any more wasps in here. It looks like they're having fun outside, stinging all the kids. Oh, man, who just pulled up?
Oh, no, it's the pest control company again with those green wheels. They seem to kill every one of my parties.
This is Derek, the owner of All Solutions Pest Control. Give us a call today at 636-486-7888. Learn more about our special $67 offer. You can visit us online at allsolutionspestcontrol.com.
If a pest-free home is your goal, call All Solutions Pest Control.
Tim Jones here with Dr. Pat Fader of Comprehensive Chiropractic. Doc, I hear you all have a new treatment program for everyone's chronic knee pain.
Tim, that's right. We are helping patients with chronic knee pain by addressing the root cause of their condition.
And what makes your program so unique?
Well, Tim, many programs focus on just one component of the problem, the structural component. Our program focuses on the metabolic and neurological component to complete the picture and improve our patients' outcomes. We get to the root cause of what is driving inflammation in a person's body and address it directly.
For your chronic knee pain and more, visit cchiropractic.com. All information, make an appointment at cchiropractic.com.
This hour of Colombo and Katie brought to you by Gutter Pros. Water goes where we tell it. Call 314-656-7195 or visit them at gutterpros.com.
Standing there with her hands in her hair. I can't help remember just when she
It's a good song for Crane. I've been thinking about intro songs lately. I don't know why, but it's been on repeat in my brain. We debuted the new Nick Schroer theme last week, and that has had my mind turning.
Swirling.
And I've got some ideas for Crane. I don't want to reveal them now.
Okay.
But I have some ideas of some songs that would be a perfect fit.
Nice. Let's do it.
Anticipation.
It's a beautiful thing. It might make you tear up, actually. Crane Durham from nothingbutruth.com is here with us. Crane, quick reminder to folks, you were on Facebook earlier today talking about this conversation with us, and you have your podcast and everything on the Nothing But Truth Facebook page, and of course the website nothingbutruth.com. Tell folks about what you do every day there.
Well, you're getting a lot more videos, and videos are hitting issues that are hitting all of us, from COVID and the recent revelations from the NIH director to going back to Lois Lerner and the IRS. Remember that? And I even hear that your News Talk STL, I wanted to make sure I got my facts straight. You all are not funded by George Soros, right?
No,
We are not.
We are
not funded.
Soros,
Okay,
Soros free.
Not
Here.
funded by
Yes.
George Soros. Okay.
Yes.
Those are the things I talk about. And it's pretty much how the world's gone crazy, and how do we get it back to getting it to normal, so to speak, and return faith in our institutions and hold people to account when they break the law or abuse and weaponize the judicial system against their political adversaries.
I love it. And all delivered with the passion and heart and soul of the great Crane Durham.
Yes.
I love it. All right. James Carville. Nobody covers Jimmy Carville like Colombo and Katie. Nobody covers Jimmy Carville like Colombo. I'm not sure Katie wants
Or
to,
just period.
wants to be associated
No one covers him
with that. But he was on MSNBC last night with Jen Psaki, and he was telling the president to stop complaining about about the media's coverage of his age. The Democratic strategist said last night that the age issue was suffocating President Biden, and told the president to stop griping about negative media coverage on the issue. Again, he was on with Jen Psaki on MSNBC last night, and he said, quote, I do think the president has to deal. The age issue is suffocating him. He needs to bring up that he is only 4 years older than Trump. He told the president to quit complaining about the New York Times coverage of his age and his bad poll numbers, which he said was a waste of time. It's been widely reported that Joe Biden and his team have been upset by the Times and other outlets for talking about his age so much throughout his term in office. Carville suggested that Biden talk about his record. I'm not sure that's going to help, Jimmy, but okay. I was with you until that part. And about how he plans to change people's lives. He sounded the alarm on the Democrat coalition's lack of support among younger Black and Latino voters, recently saying, we covered this when he said this a couple weeks ago, quote, "It's horrifying, our numbers among younger voters, particularly younger Blacks, younger Latinos, younger people of color, particularly males. We're not shredding them. They're leaving in droves, excuse me." Crane, James Carville says that the president needs to stop complaining about the media and his age. Do you agree?
Yeah, but can the president even remember his own age? I mean,
and what does he
that's
shift
a serious
to?
question. How is he supposed to stop complaining about it or making it an issue, saying, "Hey, I'm only 4 years"? If you had a competent mental person, yes, but our president's not, and we've seen that time and time again. He the busiest person at the White House is the person after President Biden speaks that has to go through and correct all the things he says and get those talking points to the White House communications staff so they can clean it up in aisle 6. So he's right. He could if you had a competent candidate. You don't.
Yeah.
And that's what's frightening.
Yep. And then speaking of Jen Psaki, real quick, because we're almost out of time here, Crane, she said late last week, even after the debates were agreed upon, that she thinks that they still might not happen. She said, quote, "I'm still a skeptic a little bit." She warned that Donald Trump could, even though he's already agreed to the terms presented by Biden, he could go back on that agreement. She said Trump could certainly say, "I never agreed to those terms in the letter." And he probably will. That she said probably will. And that's how this all falls apart. You and I haven't talked a whole lot about those debates. We're looking forward to that happening at the end of June. That first one, I can't wait for it. It's going to be must-see TV. Do you think that Jen Psaki is right in saying that it could fall apart, or do you feel like we're all systems go on this?
Well, not in the way that she's saying. And I do think they've got Biden in a good place to debate, because if you go back and look at Paul Ryan debating the former vice president and current president, he can be as obnoxious as anybody and talk over. And that's where we talk about the microphones and everything else. And so there may be some changes before the debate, because I think the only way Biden can stop Donald Trump from making these points is shouting over him.
Yeah, I agree with you that I agree with the idea that these debates could fall apart, but it wouldn't be from the Trump side.
No
way. If I could predict any type of shenanigans or backing out of the deal, I would 100% say that that's on the Biden side, not the Trump side. I think Donald Trump, and it may even be to his detriment, I think he will agree to anything. He is so pumped and motivated to get on a debate stage with Biden. There is no way in my mind that he backs out. Crane Durham, thank you so much, as always, for your time this afternoon, buddy. We will talk to you next week. And in the meantime, nothingbutTruth.com and the Nothing But Truth Facebook page. Have a great day, my friend.
You all are the best. Love ya. Take care.
Rear Admiral Chuck Williams to talk about the Middle East next on Colombo and Katie.
Free speech is alive and well in America.
Thanks for taking my call.
right here.
My point about the governor there, it is absolutely about power.
I read this, I almost fell out of my chair.
News Talk STL.
This thing is just absolutely dripping with iron.
News, analysis, opinion.
1949, the last time a Republican held the top post in St. Louis City. A gallon of milk was 84 cents, and streetcars ran down Grand Avenue. The city was booming. Unfortunately, St. Louis city streets are no longer the epicenter of family and business life. In the 80 years of Democrat control, our city has been on a steady decline. St. Louis City Republicans believe it is our duty to provide a different path forward. Learn more at stlouisrepublicans.com.
Paid for by St. Louis City Republican Pat Curtis, Farber Treasurer.
Tim Jones here for Johnny's Hideout in beautiful High Ridge, the go-to St. Louis sports bar and grill experience featuring over 40 big screen TVs, fantastic food featuring daily specials, and of course the famous Johnny Dow's chicken wings, live local music, and now the reopening of the gorgeous Sunset Patio, Sunset Stage, and Train Station Bar. Johnny's Hideout, located a mere 10 minutes from 270 and Gravois off Highway 30, open 7 days a week for lunch and dinner. More information, jhideout.com. That's jhideout.com. Johnny's Hideout. I'll see you there.
If you find yourself feeling out of place in the world, it's comforting to know conservative values haven't been abandoned everywhere.
But I'm not going to turn my dialogue to you guys. I really like this channel.
This is News Talk STL. Welcome home. When you've got something to say, be heard loud and clear.
If they'll just do what they were voted in to do.
This party needs to get a backbone. They need to get some spine.
Join the conversation. St. Louis's place to talk.
The Democrats and the Republicans can give us all the lip service they want, but what they need to do is take action today.
1019 and 94.1.
You know, you have to take a stand sometimes.
This is News Talk STL. News, analysis, and opinion. KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
Breaking news this hour from townhall.com. I'm John Scott. Senator Ted Cruz is giving New York low marks for its prosecution of former President Trump in his criminal trial. Correspondent Bob Agnew has more.
This is all about the election, nothing else.
In fact, Cruz says the case is so weak on its legal merits, it simply would not have been brought against anyone other than Donald Trump.
It is a not federal crime bootstrapped onto a not state crime.
The legal merits notwithstanding, Cruz says he fears the prosecution may have convinced anti-Trump New York jurors to return a verdict of guilty.
If it does, I'm confident that will be overturned on appeal, but the appeal doesn't happen till after the election, which is the whole point.
Bob Agnew reported.
Also at townhall.com, torrential rain, high winds, and large hail in Omaha, Nebraska early today. More than 10,000 customers without power in and around Omaha, more than 5 inches of rain in less than 2 hours. AAA says the post-pandemic travel boom will continue.
The post-pandemic travel boom continues. Get ready for plenty of company if you're heading out of town for the unofficial start of summer.
We're projecting nearly 44 million travelers over the Memorial Day weekend, which comes close to matching 2005. But in the car travel category, we're projecting 38.4 million people, and that would be a new record for drivers over the long holiday weekend.
AAA spokeswoman Aixa Diaz on the travel numbers following the pandemic.
Ever since 2020, each year we saw some increases. And the past couple of years have just really been very impressive.
For those traveling by car, the average price for a gallon of gas is about $3.59. I'm Shirley Adler.
The stocks gained ground today. The Dow was up 66 points and the NASDAQ finished 37 points higher. More at townhall.com.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, CarShield is announcing a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan that is now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-355-4107 now. Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. Call us for your free quick quote today. 800-355-4107. That's 800-355-4107. What do you have to lose? Call 800-355-4107. Again, 800-355.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm First Alert 4 Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton. Let's be alert for severe weather this evening, especially between 9 to 11 p.m. in the St. Louis Metro, a little earlier to the west. That's why it's a First Alert weather day for the severe threat this evening. These storms will blow out of here overnight. We'll be dry in the morning and 65 for the low, 78 for the high, but there is a chance for a few more storms Wednesday between noon to 8. Just be alert. It's a lower threat, but an isolated severe storm or two possible. Better chance south of St. Louis. Thursday, a 30% chance for a few showers and storms as it warms up a little bit with a high of 83. That's the latest from the First Alert 4 Weather Center. I'm Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Stifel, serving investors for over 130 years. Contact your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Fox News commentary.
I have maintained Joe will not be the Democrat nominee by November, and a new hint reinforces my theory. I'm Tommy Lahren. More next.
Donald Trump Jr. here. Since January of 2021, the cost of living has increased by 17.9%. You can't get that money back, but you can stop your losses by diversifying into a gold IRA from my friends at Birch Gold Group. To learn more, get your free info kit on gold IRAs by texting the word SHELTER to 989898. That's SHELTER to the number 989898 to get your free info kit from Birch Gold now. Message and data rates may apply.
The Democrats will not take a risk with Joe or Kamala in November, but have finally got a lead as to how they will get Kamala out of the way. According to people familiar with the VP, she has joked about returning to California to run for governor if she and Joe don't win in November. Now, her office predictably denied this reporting, but nevertheless, this to me is a huge hint and a big clue as to how the Democrats will move Kamala out of the way for the current governor of California, Gavin Newsom. They've got to get Kamala to step aside by offering her something else that is more attainable, a consolation prize that feels believable, and the governor of California could be that post. Sure, it's not the president, it's not the White House, but she doesn't have a shot at those anyway. I'm telling you, this might sound far-fetched, but not as far-fetched as trying to run failing Joe or Kamala in the fall. I'm Tommy Lahren, and you can watch my show Tommy Lahren is Fearless at Outkick.com.
News, analysis, and opinion.
Let the American people see what's going on here.
News Talk STL.
Pay close attention.
St. Louis is number one.
Bottom line is this: St. Louis is number one
for conservative talk.
News Talk STL.
You sit me down to explain all the trials you've endured around and around. The refrain rings the same each time. It's hard. Entertain the notion, entertain the notion that the only thing I hear is the crack of a smile in a face that ain't so sincere. When I'm measuring out your quality, it is only as deep as your modesty as your inside.
Welcome back to Colombo and Katie on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL. Great conversation with our buddy Crane Durham from nothingbuttruth.com. If you missed any of that or just want to make sure you never miss anything that happens here on the show, make sure you subscribe to our podcast. We put the show out as a podcast right after we get off the air every day on every podcast platform. So whatever your favorite podcast platform is, just make sure you subscribe to Colombo and Katie, and you'll never miss any of the great conversations that we have, like the one that we are about to have with our next guest, Rear Admiral Chuck Williams, retired Navy Admiral and the Navy's Assistant Secretary for Energy, Installations, and Environment under the Donald Trump administration. Admiral, thank you so much for being back here with us today. And I said earlier, I didn't think that the president could find a new low, but I think maybe sending condolences to basically the founder of the Death to America movement might be a new low for this president.
Well, I might have just a little bit of a different take on that.
Sure.
I was a little surprised when I did hear it, because I didn't know what he would do. But here's one way to look at it, and believe me, I'm not a Biden apologist by any means. I'm certainly supporting Trump. But, when you go to a funeral, it's not always for the one who died. It's for the family, for the ones who remain. And I think if you try to tell the Iranian people, I mean, there could be a shift possibility here. Khomeini is 85 years old. And now that their president died in that helicopter crash, to try and get a message out to the Iranian people, who they have staged some uprisings over the years, and to talk about human rights and about the people of Iran. Maybe there's some merit to try and get them to want to change the direction of Iran. Now, the chance of that happening, I don't know, it's probably slim, but I could see where there might be some diplomatic reason to do that. But certainly we are not friends and allies with Iran, not at all. But, if he was the president of the country, maybe there's a side benefit with the people. That's kind of what I'm thinking.
Yeah, no, and it's a good point, because and I think it's also an important distinction for just people in general to know that, like many cases across the world that have bad actors running the country or in government, many times that does not flow down to the citizens of that country. And the people of Iran are not necessarily the problem. It's the government of Iran. I don't know. Exactly. You would know better than I, because I understand and agree with your point. But does a message like that get to the citizens of Iran? I mean, I know, North Korea, nothing on the world stage actually filters down to the citizens of North Korea because it's so gatekept by Kim Jong-un. Do the people of Iran see that, or are they blocked from the world's media like other places?
Well, I don't know that they just see it on a TV screen, but I think social media might filter through, and there may be some Iranians that move about within Europe or within the Middle East that may hear about it and come back and tell others. I just don't know for sure about what they're, how they squelch communication to their people. But I think social media might get there, but if it doesn't, at least for some the other folks in the Middle East, maybe it makes the United States not look as much animosity as we've had. But believe me, the Iranians are bad people. The leadership of Iran, they're bad people. And when I think about all the stuff that's going wrong and that can go wrong and will go wrong, because it's certainly on a bad path, they are a state sponsor of terrorism, and they're using the Houthis and Hamas and Hezbollah, to wage war and kill people. And they're aligned with China and North Korea, and they certainly are probably working on and getting close to a nuclear capability. And they bombed Israel. I mean, there's a lot of reasons to be angry with Iran, and why we ever gave them money again. I knew John Kirby a little bit in my Navy days. When he made that statement about, we get the money back anytime we want. If they don't use it for medical purposes, we'll get it back. Well, come on. I mean, that didn't make any sense. So we gave money, and they then used it to build up a weapons capability to launch, missiles and drones. So the whole thing is it's problematic, but that's the only one I might give. And if my understanding is right, Tony, tell me if this is true. Did the president make the statement, or was it the Secretary of State? I thought
it was a State Department release. To your point, it was the State Department. Yeah. Yes,
that's what I thought. They wanted to keep the president out of that. Okay, got it.
You mentioned that John Kirby. It made me laugh because I just never underestimate the president's ability to lie to the American people and think that we will believe it. Like he says with a straight face, if they don't use the money, like you just said, if they don't use the money for medical purposes, we'll go get it back. What? And you really expect us to believe that?
Yeah, I wonder about it. I don't know what happened to him. I mean, I knew some other admirals who once made a comment. They said they can tell John Kirby's lying when he opens his mouth. But I don't know. He did me a favor one time, and so I give him a little slack. But some of the stuff he says, I just sit there and scratch my head in disbelief.
Talking to Admiral Chuck Williams, and Admiral, this is the first time that Katie and I have had a chance to talk with you since the escalation of the war in the Middle East. So I do want to get into some of the specific issues like the ICC and Netanyahu and all of that, but just in general, just frame for us, in your opinion, just how dangerous and how potentially bad of a situation is developing and growing on the world stage as we allow this, the voice of terrorism to get so much promotion and coverage in our country and across the world?
Well, if you're talking about Iran specifically, with what they've done with their, the Shia communities they support, like the Houthis and those, it's one of those things that right now I think it's got a little bit of a cap on it, but it won't take much to blow that cap off. And it's that kind of thing of, you do something kind of small and we react a little bit larger, and you do something beyond that and then we react again. And the whole thing could be a powder keg. It's certainly something to worry about. We've got a carrier strike group down there in the Red Sea, or just off the Gulf of Aden in the Indian Ocean. And, the Houthis continue to launch cruise missiles and drones. It's forced, part of the Navy mission is deter an aggressor, defeat an adversary, and protect American interests, which include economic interests. That's now forcing vessels to go all the way down around Africa, adding 10 days of travel time, a lot of expense to the transportation cost. And insurance companies are saying it's a war zone, we're not going to cover, loss of a ship or cargo. So it's this kind of stuff that it just isn't military, it becomes economic. An economic impact. And I don't know what the outcome is going to be. I'm hoping that this could kind of cause a pause in Iranian thinking for some short period of time. I think the Israelis, and I've written about this, I'm fully on board with the Israelis. It is sad, and Keith Kellogg might have told you this yesterday. I've heard him say it a few times. It is sad when there's a loss of life, but when one nation goes to war with another nation or inflicts pain, the only way you eventually resolve it is one side has to defeat the other. And to defeat means some people are going to, unfortunately, die, and you'd like to avoid that. But just to have another peace treaty, we've got these around the world now. We did it in Vietnam. We did it in North Korea, or the Korean War. We don't ultimately resolve the conflict. And I think the Israelis are thinking, if we do a pause and a peace treaty, it's going to come back and haunt us again, and there's going to be a lot of Israeli loss of life. A lot of these Muslims, not all, but a lot of them do believe in, if you're a non-believer, then you shouldn't, you should be taken out. You shouldn't be around. And this whole thing from the river to the sea is all about that area from the Mediterranean Sea to the river on the West Bank and everything in between. And Israel is in the middle. So if you take both sides that are Palestinian and take it all, you've taken Israel out. And once you've taken Israel out, a lot of Muslims don't just believe in the non-believer thought of Jews, it's Christians. So where do you go after you take out the Israelis or the Jews? And then it's Christian. They have to get a hold of this, and I think the Israelis are in the right place to remove this threat. And this whole thing about the ICC and taking out Netanyahu, it ain't going to happen. They tried to do this with military members in Afghanistan, and Pompeo and a lot of his team diplomatically said, look, we never signed that agreement. It's a treaty. We never signed it, and we don't support it. You're not going to take our people and imprison them. And they're not going to do that with Netanyahu, I don't think.
Admiral, you spoke about the phrase from the river to the sea, and something that's happening right now that I'm sure you have seen over your years as being an expert in foreign policy, national defense, and defense. there is a lot of propaganda being sold to Americans right now, specifically through social media. One of the places, TikTok. And they see a phrase like this and they see influential congressmen and women saying, no, that doesn't mean the annihilation of Israel. That doesn't mean getting rid of the genocide of those people. That means something completely different. In your years of expertise and being involved in foreign policy, have you ever seen something quite like the propaganda Americans are being sold about the war between Israel and Hamas?
Well, the country has shifted so much culturally. I mean, liberals have really stretched us to a different dimension. And, just in my own life, I was born in 1950, so I've been around for a little while. Even as bad as the Vietnam War got, is that, they wanted to bring an end to it because a lot of American lives, and there seemed to be no end in sight. There was no ability to win, nothing decisive. So why waste all these lives? This is different. This is supporting. This is strictly anti-Jewish. I don't know where that comes from. I mean, we're a Judeo-Christian country. Our culture is different, and now there's a desire to change the culture. I don't get it.
Admiral, we're almost out of time, but before we let you go, and hopefully we can get you back on again very soon and pick the conversation up, because there's so much more to talk about. But you touched on the ICC situation, and I totally agree with you that the reality of it is any real consequences for Benjamin Netanyahu are not going to happen. But my fear and the biggest problem with it that I have is that we're in a world where that is okay and supported by some, that the ICC and a prosecutor with the ICC is so confident and publicly comfortable coming forward, with such blatantly anti-Semitic, anti-Israel beliefs. And before we let you go, just in general, as we go through this election year, with your experience, if there's not a change at the White House or a change in the strategy, the leadership in this country, how dangerous could the world be at 4 years from now if we allow the things that we have allowed happen in the Middle East and throughout the world, if we continue to let that happen for the next several years?
Well, when some of these world leaders that are nefarious in nature see weakness, they attack. And you saw it with Putin going into Ukraine after the Afghanistan debacle. And other countries will see that and they'll react. And I think that's part of the reason the Iranians directed the Palestinians to initiate this attack against Israel. I just sit there and I try and think culturally, what has changed in the world? Why have we changed who we support, who our allies are, or be so fearful that we can't support an ally? That sends a message everywhere, every country that's an ally. And frankly, this ICC can almost set a precedent. If you go after Netanyahu and you found a way to imprison him, is that a precedent that every time a country is attacked and they retaliate for that attack and you end up in a war, that you're going to go after the leader of the one who was attacked that's responding? I mean, that just doesn't make sense.
No. And it's a dangerous, that's a dangerous precedent. It's not a world that is safe for democracy and freedom if we continue down that path. That is Rear Admiral Chuck Williams. Admiral, thank you. Great talking with you.
Thank you,
again,
Tony.
hope to get
Katie.
you back on very, very soon. Have a great rest of your day.
Appreciate that. See you guys. Bye.
Retired Navy Admiral Chuck Williams there. Great stuff. He's a great guy.
He's awesome.
And
he's awesome.
And it's so important to hear from, I was talking about this yesterday, what's happening on the world stage, even for people like you and I, Katie, that watch the news and research these stories every single day because it's our job, it could still get overwhelming and go over our heads or be so much deeper than people realize.
Mm-hmm.
And it's people like Admiral Williams who can convey the truth and the actuality of these situations and what they mean and where they're coming from.
Totally.
And how dangerous these things can be if they're allowed to continue. So really appreciate the conversation there and hope to get the Admiral back on very soon. All right, Illinois, one step closer to having digital IDs. You don't need a driver's license anymore. You just show your phone. You just show people your screen of your phone, and that's your driver's license. It seems to be on the fast track in the state of Illinois. We'll talk about that. And I saw, and I think I could maybe speak for you on this too, Katie, one of the most incredible 90-second interviews
Yes.
I've ever seen on CNN today.
Yes.
And that is all I'll say. We'll play you the entire 90 seconds so you can experience this for yourself as well. Next on Colombo and Katie.
Colombo and Katie, the new faces of talk radio. Number one for live and local conservative talk. News Talk STL. If you have a phone, you have a radio. Download the News Talk STL app. Just a convenience on the phone. And listen anytime, anywhere.
Been a lot of rain in our area recently, and that will put the spotlight if you are having a gutter issue at your home or your business. And hopefully it's a reminder to not allow that problem to fester and get worse. It can long term, it could do serious damage in several ways to your home and business if your gutters are not working properly. And that is why we at our house trust the team at Gutter Pros. Gutter Pros is your all-in-one gutter service team that brings years of experience and quality that is affordable right to your doorstep. You guys have heard me tell the story before about when we bought our house and we inherited a gutter problem, and I put it off. I was afraid of how much it was going to cost and how big of a project it was going to be. And then when I finally did call Gutter Pros, I felt ridiculous because it was so much easier and faster and more affordable to get taken care of. And I, risked the more damage being done during all that procrastination. Dave Sylvester from Gutter Pros is going to be in studio with us tomorrow, Katie. He's on tomorrow, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, awesome. So make sure you are listening for that. And again, this time of year is definitely not the time of year that you want to be messing with any issues up there. So if you have a gutter issue at your home or business, call the Gutter Pros now. They do it all: leaf protection, gutter repair, new gutter installation, siding. Gutter Pros has you covered across the board. So if you have an issue, call them now at 314-656-7195 or just go to gutterpros.com.
I'm Dr. TJ, owner of the Institute of Natural Health, co-owner of Optimal Nutraceuticals, and the host of Wellness 101. Wellness 101 is designed to cut through the nonsense and provide you common sense, science-based information regarding health and wellness. On the show, we discuss topics like thyroid health, gut health, hormone optimization, and many others. Our show airs Saturdays at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. and Sundays at 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. right here on News Talk STL. For more information, visit us at inhstl.com. That's inhstl.com.
This is Larry Connor's commentary on News Talk STL.
Drain the swamp. Drain the swamp. Yes, Trump is going to try to do that if elected a second time. He's got a lot ahead of him. The first time around, he couldn't succeed because there are too many swamp creatures around him. This time around, according to sources, he's going to start by putting more control on the DOJ's authority. That would include eliminating the FBI's general counsel. The office had worked against the Trump presidency, investigating the 2016 so-called Russian hoax. The other thing is, in 2021, he signed an executive order to reclassify federal government employees into Schedule F, which would mean the president should have the power to fire and hire federal bureaucrats for cause. First thing Biden did in office, he canceled that. Now Trump will apparently reorder it again. And some sources say that's the effective way to end the bureaucracy. American science fiction writer C.J. Redwine wrote, "Power is neither good nor evil. It just is. It's what people do with power that matters." And that's what we've seen happening. She nailed it.
Get more Larry Connors on Larry Connors USA.
Tonight at 6 on News Talk STL.
Question: do you know what vermiculite is? It is an insulation in the attics of hundreds of thousands of homes and public buildings. Looks like kitty litter, but often contains asbestos. Wellington Environmental is the largest company in the Midwest that can remove that hazard for you. Wellington has what is called the General, a powerful industrial vacuum that can suck vermiculite out of the attic. Hang on, there's something else you should know. Many of you might qualify for up to a $4,000 rebate. You should at least contact Wellington to see if you qualify. And here's something else. Wellington arrives at the time they give you, not sometime within 4 hours. 314-644-4930. 644-4930. WellingtonSTL.com. WellingtonSTL.com. Wellington Environmental. Your world. Cleaner, better, safer. Be well with Wellington.
To all our incredible supporters, we at the David Dorn Foundation say thank you. Your 5-star online reviews that you recently posted are beacons of encouragement on our mission to assist first responders. And a shout out to Steve Katraba, who reviewed us with these powerful words. The Dorn Foundation continues to fill a need in the public safety community and thereby to the public. Steve, your words are more than a review. They show the impact we're making for first responders. To read more strong reviews, Google the Dorn Foundation now.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Profiles in Freedom. Yeah, we could use a reminder of what that's all about. So we're going to talk to Carl Higbee from Newsmax TV, who just wrote a book about it. He joins us at 8:05.
Morning starting at 5:30 on News Talk STL.
Everybody loves somebody sometime. Everybody falls in love somehow. Something in your kiss just told me my sometime is now. Everybody finds somebody someplace. There's no telling where love may appear. Something in my heart keeps saying my someplace is here.
Welcome back to Colombo Katie on 101.9 94.1 News Talk STL. I have Fox, the Fox News website pulled up on my computer over here. I just went away. I was going to show you the picture. An ad over here because we're going to play this interview in a second. So I have this up over here. Some of the ads or like paid stories on some of these news websites are just amazing to me. And they are just like front and center. Like what happened when the water hit, it caused the wardrobe malfunction for this bikini model.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
You know, like
they just had that with
there was a just now on my screen, like a fifth of the screen was an ad, I think, for a video game, and it was just like a basically naked woman.
Jim and I were back using Rumble, and there was an ad that immediately popped up of someone in a very weird position wearing like a skin suit. You know, like an anatomy suit.
Yeah.
That was the advertisement before I opened up
16
Rumble.
unbelievable pictures. Number 9 will blow your mind.
It's like,
yeah.
This is Fox
and I get
News.
I get it. I get it. Buying ads, and I'm not, I don't mind like any of that stuff, but it just is not next to a story about the Middle East. It just doesn't seem like it fits. Anyway.
It doesn't.
Anyway.
It doesn't.
You want to do Cameron first? Since I got it right here, ready to go?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is incredible for so many reasons. The rapper Cameron was on CNN this morning, and he was on as a guest to talk about P. Diddy, which, by the way, we have not talked enough about.
No, we haven't.
We've mentioned it a couple times, but this story, the P. Diddy situation,
it's insane.
It is, and to steal a term from you, it is buck wild.
It is buck wild.
He's booked as a guest to talk about P. Diddy, but he has no experience or relationship with P. Diddy
whatsoever.
So whoever booked this interview on CNN is ridiculous. And then his behavior.
Oh, it's so you gotta listen to the audio.
So just because you can't see it, I recommend going and finding the video. It's everywhere. At the beginning, when you hear him pause and take a drink, he promotes something called, I think it's pink horsepower, or maybe it's just horsepower. It's a libido drink. It's like it's like a liquid Viagra. It's like a something you're supposed to drink. So that's what he is drinking and then holding up on camera at the beginning of this interview that is supposed to be about P. Diddy. And what he says is pretty amazing on CNN. So here we go.
Can you tell us a little bit more about that? I mean, is there something known in the industry about how Diddy treated his artists?
Taking a drink.
Oh.
So I'm going to get some cheeks after this horsepower drink. I'm just going to know what Mace said. Mace took me to Biggie. I don't really know Puffers like Mace know Puff. So I appreciate what Mace said. And of course, that's my brother. So if he felt that way, then he felt that way. I can't really tell you how Puff moves or anything like that. Mace may know better than me because he was signed to Puff.
Talk to somebody else. They know better than I do.
My show does come on at 8 a.m. Eastern on YouTube.
He promotes his YouTube show.
Here's my show.
Check it out. I mean, I might get some more information out of Mace from there, but for me to tell you how Puff acting and all that, I don't know.
I don't know. I'm not the guy.
Yeah. What about the industry in general?
And he keeps trying.
Pointed out that Diddy couldn't get away with this stuff if there weren't a lot of people protecting him. Do you think that's the case?
This is great.
Who the talent agent for this joint? Like, you think I'll be sitting around watching what Diddy do and all this? I didn't know this was a Diddy joint that I invited me to. Who booked me for this joint?
Who booked me for this joint?
When he does that, he's looking off camera at somebody. He's not in the studio. He's on, wherever his studio, wherever he's at. And he's looking off studio, and I assume like his publicist or somebody, and he's pointing at them going, who booked me for this? What do you think I do? Sit around thinking about P. Diddy? Well, that was that's the whole reason
That's
you're
the premise.
So yeah, whoever booked him is ridiculous because this guy has nothing to do with P. Diddy and knows nothing about him
at all.
And then all he wants to do is promote his sex drink and his YouTube show.
Yes. I have to give it to the CNN host. I told you
you
before.
like her. This is my first time ever seeing her. But you said that you
I
actually
like her. She did a CNN town hall with Vivek Ramaswamy months and months ago. She's new. She just got hired, I believe, to take Don Lemon's spot before he did his late night show spot. And she got hired under the new management that was trying to recreate CNN. And again, she's lefty. She's Democrat. But I do like her. Even in this interview, even in this instance, she was like, okay. I mean, she should have cut off the interview.
Can we?
But she was like, okay, well, what about the industry then?
Can we just say the first words in the interview, the first sentence he says is, sorry, I'm going to get some cheeks after this horsepower drink.
And thank you for the interview. Talk to you later.
On CNN, the first, my wife beat me to this story. The first time I read this and cheeks. It was an email from my wife with the subject line, did you see this? All caps and a million question marks.
CNN, no credit there.
She's asking that first question at the beginning of the interview, and he's literally holding the little, it's like a little, kind of like a 5-hour energy size little shot drink. And he's holding it and he's trying to time out the little stunt to take the drink right before answering the first question, and she's kind of going on, and he's like slowly kind of like unwrapping the top and unscrewing the bottle, like waiting for her to finish the question and holding it like right on camera
So you can see.
Yeah. And waiting for her to finish the question about P. Diddy so he could take a shot of it on the air, on television, on CNN, and then say, sorry, I'm going to get some cheeks after this. Right there.
Bad booking.
Right there. As a
Bad
person
booking.
who's conducted thousands of interviews, when the first line from your guest is, sorry, I'm going to get some cheeks after this, it's time to go. Hang it up.
Thank you for being on the show.
Hang it up.
Gotta go.
And now a word from our sponsors.
So what is your percentage of him actually not knowing this was about P. Diddy or like it being a stunt?
No, he clearly, that when she asked that, when she tries to save it and say, well, what about the industry in general? He's not even looking at the camera. He's looking off camera, like in
what?
disbelief. Like, what are we talking about?
Dang.
Why are we, like, he clearly had no idea that his answer is great. What do you think? I sit around thinking about P. Diddy all day? Well, that is why you're here.
Yeah, sorry, dude. That's exactly why you're here. Stupid.
Yeah. Yeah. Unbelievable. 90 seconds of just pure gold on CNN with the rapper Cameron. All right. Before we go, Illinois is one step closer to having people able to have their ID on their phone. The state House of Representatives unanimously passed a bill yesterday allowing people to use a digital copy of their driver's license in the state of Illinois. This bill has some more to go. It's got to pass the Senate and get signed into law, but it seems to be on the fast track in the state of Illinois. Many of you listening won't have to have a driver's license anymore. What do you think about that?
I do not like
It's
that.
very weird to me.
I don't like that. First of all, what is with everybody trying to get rid or diminish driver's license? Like,
Yeah.
what is with that proactive initiative to have people be like, you shouldn't need a driver's license to vote. You
Yeah.
shouldn't need a driver's license to drive.
And that's where my suspicion lies with
It's
this.
sus.
I'm not necessarily against that. Like my fishing license, I still get a physical copy, but I keep my fishing license on my phone in the app, the Missouri Conservation Department app. So if I'm ever in a park fishing and a park ranger asks for my fishing license, I pull it up on my phone.
Mm-hmm.
So I get it. And I'm not necessarily against that idea, in general. But my suspicion, especially since this is happening in Illinois, is that what you just said is the impetus behind this is to keep diminishing the need for identification and
Yes,
to
you don't need it.
incorporate
I don't like that.
non-citizen voting and not needing a ID to do anything, especially vote.
Driver's license were a huge deal when you're 16. That's everything.
Yeah.
When you get it, you're like, whoa, it matters.
Yep. I bet you, but in our lifetimes, or definitely our kids' lifetimes, it'll all be digital. Yeah, could be happening in Illinois very, very soon. We'll continue to keep an eye on that story, and we will be back tomorrow. Make sure you subscribe to the Colombo and Katie podcast in the meantime, and keep it right here for the O'Reilly Report next, and then the Tim Jones and Chris Arp Show here on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
If I had it in my power, I'd arrange.
The Herzog Tomorrow Foundation provides private school tuition scholarships through Missouri's new Most Scholars program to cover the